Hello, everyone! Welcome to another episode of Simply Sketchy, and today I am once more joined with Dave. Fat Dave from the channel Total Blackout Painting. Say hello, buddy.
Hello. So, yeah, he's not here. Uh, Yeah, we're here together. He's got me here. Anyhow. Um,
The thing is, I have a tendency of kidnapping Americans because for some reason you keep walking around unarmed, and that means I'm free to
uh,
take you. So until you learn that lesson and start shooting when you see me, you know how it is.
yeah.
Use your Second
But
Amendment rights,
yeah,
people.
I'm Dave from Total Blackout Painting and Sultans of Chatelet and the notorious asshole on Twitter, which my followers went down again.
You're being real. You're
Uh,
being
I
real
think,
nondescriptive there, buddy, because there's a lot of
yeah.
us.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so thanks for having me back again.
It's a pleasure, dude. And we're pretty much just following the same subject like last time. We kind of took a detour from Elden Ring because why not just go full on Fable?
Yeah, we're I really what I thought I would do is I would challenge you with something different that you weren't familiar with. And see what you could see what you would come up with from there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is again uh a character from the Fablehaven series by Brandon Mull that is a book that I read with my children. Is very fond or very dear to me. So and today we're doing Hugo, who is the golem, and following in line with the inanimate, like
Yeah.
the mindless people in the book, though. So this is Hugo. He's the farm help from the on the farm, the Sorensen's farm. He's an earth. He's not a. He's a golem, an earth golem. So he's just comprised of stone and rock and grass and stuff like that.
Fucking stone.
Yeah.
It's
He
it's for those who remember from the last time me and Dave did, because we are releasing these chronologically. So the previous one
yeah,
should have been with the doll,
yeah,
Mendigo, right? So
Mendigo, yeah.
we did mention this fella a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
this is his dedicated episode.
Yeah. And because I thought he'd be an interesting subject. Well,
Yeah, and I get to
so
drop rocks.
yeah. And so yeah, Hugo is really kind of a mindless, like kind of mindless golem, you know. He follows basic instructions. They tell he's told to keep the kids safe or protect the kids, and so he does that. One of the big things that Hugo does is he milks Viola. They call him a milch cow, Milch, like
It
the
is
German
just,
pronunciation.
yeah,
Yeah.
German for milk. That's literally just it.
Yep. So that's what that's what the cow is called. That produces the magical milk that everyone drinks, and without the magical milk, people can't see the magical creatures, and it helps nourish the magical creatures on the preserve, like the fairies and all that shit.
Mhm.
So without the milk or whatever, Hugo just looks like a pile of rocks and dirt. He doesn't really look like anything. Like he doesn't look like a person or anything like that. He just looks like a pile of rocks and dirt. And so the kids don't want, before they drink the milk, which we've talked about that previously, how they drink the milk. They didn't recognize what Hugo even was. But after they did it, then they recognize that Hugo's
Because
golem, and then
unless you drink the milk or get sort of like blessed by other means, or
Yep.
interact with magic and other means, you're pretty much just
Yep.
you're blinded by the fairy's glamour, essentially, right?
Yep. Yep. You're invisible to the Fae, which is generally, that's the protection for a lot of people. People's ignorance is what protects them from a lot of these mythical creatures.
I mean,
You know,
you're blind to them, but they're blind to you. And we did talk a little bit
yeah,
about what fairies could do when they got pissed.
right, yeah, exactly. And this is the fairies can't really hurt Hugo. Hugo's really resistant to magic. He's pretty strong.
I guess his
So
earth and nature kind of rounds it out.
yeah, just being a big magical guy grounds out the magical fairy spirit. Yeah. So there is a point in so the first book we've talked about extensively is they're trying to Muriel's trying to escape to release the Bahamut demon to overthrow the preserve so that then they can start infiltrating in the human world. But in the second book, they are the preserve gets overtaken by a shadow plague. And it's a plague that's turning all the creatures dark. It's not like turning fairies into imps, imps are normally the dark nature of the fairies, but it's turning them into actual dark fairies.
Wait, so there's a difference?
And yeah. So because it was a magical plague.
Oh, right.
And so it was transforming them differently, right? It's not something that should happen, but it's because it was a magical plague.
Yeah, magical
which they
plague
found
breaks the logical rules. I get it.
Yeah. Well, and so the magical plague, here's the interesting part about the magical plague, is the source of the magical plague was a nail stuck into a tree.
A wraith's nail.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what this actually. I started to say it and then I wasn't stopped being so sure. Oh no, yeah, that's how they had to stop the shadow plague, was they had to drive a nail from the neck of a wraith into a tree. And that's how they had to solve the shadow plague. But that's a little further on. Talk about that more later. I'll just talk more about the first book and Hugo's role in the first book now. So since we're still kind of around there, so Hugo, he's like the farm help and everything, but Seth, so he is not like, I guess he's not completely mindless. Like he can follow simple orders.
He's kind of
Like
like
they say.
he's the earthen version of, as far as I could tell, he's kind of like the good guy made version of Mendigo.
Yeah, he's kind of, well, I guess you could kind of think of him at first as like Hodor.
Yeah.
From Game of Thrones, like Hodor, like he's just like,
Hodor?
they're just like, hey, go do this, but he doesn't say anything. But that's kind of
Well, Hodor didn't really say anything either.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't, like, Hugo didn't really make any noises or anything,
Nope.
At first, during the first book, because he's not a true golem.
No.
He doesn't become a true golem until he's restored by the fairies at the end.
Yeah, you did mention that in the previous one, right?
Yeah. When the fairies do make everything right. So he's like Seth's little. He follows Seth around. Not follows Seth around, but Seth really drags him around.
Yeah. He kind of needs
everything.
the muscle, right?
Yeah. So he protects Seth a lot of the times, and protects Seth from a lot of things. Because magical creatures don't want to fuck with Hugo because he's really resistant to magic.
Yeah.
And he's big and strong. He's strong enough to kill a magical creature if he needed to.
Oh.
Um, and so it's really interesting how when they talk about Hugo traversing like the woods, because normally in the woods you got to be kind of careful and move carefully through the trees and everything, but Hugo just kind of goes forward.
I'm sorry to interrupt, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of noise in the background.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Is
That's
there
my boys talking in the background.
is there a door you can close or something? I'm sorry.
No, we're all in the same room. Sorry, dude.
That's all right. Well, I'm not gonna start having you yell at them.
Oh, there.
Let's see. I'm sorry for bringing out the for
Oh
bringing
no,
that
no,
up.
yeah, sorry.
Well, we can just keep going and hopefully.
I'll
Sorry.
I'll move my mic. I'll move my mic closer to my face instead of away from. Anyhow, we tried to get it close. We tried to set our mic level so that they wouldn't get too much in the background. But it's inevitable. We're all in the same room.
Yeah, it's how life is, man. Again, I shouldn't really have brought it up, but
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Let's just start over from where we were.
Okay, so my bad. Anyhow, so yeah, so Hugo. They use Hugo to traverse the woods because he can just run through the woods really easy. He doesn't need to have doesn't need to be careful. And so they have a cart that Hugo pulls. He takes them around to places in. They just sit in the cart and Hugo pulls it. He just fucking runs full speed through the woods and drags them everywhere. So, which would be kind of crazy if you think about it. Like you're in a cart and just a cart going through the woods would be weird enough. But if you're going through the woods at like full speed by something's just pulling you along.
Dude, I've experienced something similar, though not by a golem, but my father had a snow scooter.
Oh yeah.
And he would attach like sleds and stuff to the back of it and just drive balls to the walls through the woods while me and my brother hung onto it. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, that shit is fun. It's super fun. We used to do that when I was like a kid too. We do 4-wheelers too.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, when my older kids were younger, because my sister has a 4-wheeler, we would go through her neighborhood, like on the 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, cool. Good times.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun times. But yeah, so they bring Hugo along with them as like the muscle whenever they go someplace, because he can he can hurt people if he needs to.
Yeah, because he doesn't really have any moral compunction or any kind of stopgap to stop him from game ending someone, if you're going to use nicer words.
Yeah, because he's following orders. But he's not. I guess a magical creature would have a sort of magical intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, because it wouldn't have a brain or anything. He would
sort
have
like
kind of a base level magic
what passes for an artificial intelligence in terms of.
Yeah, something like that without being too. Intelligence. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, we're back.
Yes. Yeah, so it's like he's a magical intelligence.
Yeah.
Like they do the magical creatures, and they're imbued with a sort of rudimentary like you couldn't tell him to do anything too complex, but if you say, hey, go here, beat up that guy, then yeah, he'll do that.
Do A, B, C, right? He can do like simple tasks if you describe it to him.
But one of the fun things that really, that I think the author did a good job with for making Hugo an endearing character was that he played with the kids. He they had a pool and they were always swimming in the pool. And so once they discovered Hugo, Seth would have Hugo throw him into the pool from like way far away.
Yeah.
That sounds rad, dude. Doesn't that sound like fun as hell?
Dude, I love being thrown into water when I was a kid.
Yeah, man.
It's a fucking rush.
Like, if you could have a giant earth monster throw you into a pool from like 10 yards away, that'd be awesome.
Yes. I totally want that. Also, the keep away bullies and crap.
And because he's smart, and so he's accurate too.
Yeah.
He's almost always going to hit. It's like, you're right, it's like an AI. He's always going to hit where he wants to throw.
What do you think about this so far?
Yeah, it looks good, dude.
Decided to give him, since he's not a malicious being, I'm trying to give like the rocks so they have a bit more chill, relaxed look.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it looks good. I like where it's going.
Thank you.
And it's, I knew this would be a quick one. Which is fitting, because Hugo's an important character in the story, but there's really just not a whole. He does do some cool shit. He does a lot of cool shit. In the first book, it's mostly he's the muscle, and he plays with the kids. He's just there to protect the kids.
Yeah. Though when Muriel gets out, because she is the main villain of the first book, so when she gets out, she kind of does a number on him, doesn't she?
Yeah, so she uses, it's one of the magical knots. So after after Muriel's released, all her knots are undone, and she's released. She goes to undo the knots that are holding Bahamut, the demon.
Mm-hmm.
And then she uses the power from one of the knots to undo the magic in Hugo.
Oh.
And that turns Hugo into a pile of dirt.
Yeah. Kind of ruins his day quite easily.
Yeah.
And that is also, you establish him as a bruiser, and you just use Muriel to... Well, it kind of shows Muriel to be a very competent and fast-thinking villain in her own way.
Yeah, really, because there was no that was a thing with Hugo. She had to use the knots to stop him, because the imps were coming at him and he was just breaking their legs. He was breaking them. He was like leaving a trail of broken imps in his wake as he was making his way towards Muriel. So he was doing damage, and so the only way they could stop him, because he's nearly invincible to magic.
But since the knots are able to make you fulfill wishes pretty much, then the knots holding down the big demon, one of the bigger demons, is of course going to be able to hold a lot of damage.
Yep, the knots are hold the power for the they just hold a lot of magic. They're holding all of the captive person's magic. And so each time they release a knot, it releases a giant burst of magic. But it really just shows how powerful the person in there is, right? Like, and the magic that is the magic that's being used to contain it.
Yeah.
Because the trap is supposedly use their own magic against them in the knots, right? Like taking his magic and trapped it in the knots.
Yeah, and I do like it how Muriel and the demon has the same kind of prison as well.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because they were imprisoned at the same time.
Yeah.
So, because they were both imprisoned because they were trying to overthrow the preserve a long time ago, and some wizards made a prison to keep them all in place.
If you're gonna start shit, you're gonna get hit.
Yep. That's right. Don't start none, don't get none.
Exactly.
But yeah, and that's such an interesting, that's an interesting concept I always reckon with, or I always not reckon with, but think about, is like, so there's all these in this book specifically, there's all this ancient magic that's holding all of these demons and monsters at bay so that humans can live a normal life. But what would happen if one of those things got out? Like the wizards 1,000 years ago made a prison to entrap the demon, but then like something happens and the demon's free now. Like that's, I don't know. That's
still around.
It's always been kind of an interesting, goofy thought to me, because it's like, oh well, I guess that he wins.
Yeah, I mean, unless one of the wizards are still around, it would definitely be it wouldn't be the absolute Armageddon, but it would definitely be a prelude to a much greater conflict.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if Bahamut came out, it would be apocalyptic for most of the world, but it would also create sort of like a conflict between the forces that seek to hold more of a balance in the world.
Right, and it's not, unfortunately, in this world, there are still that supernatural entities to keep it in check. There are still wizards. There are still, fairies. There's still the fairy queen. There's still the sources of power that can help imprison and keep the evil at bay.
Yeah.
There's still are the forces of light to hold the forces of darkness back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting concept to think of. They have the preserves around the world. There's just the magical preserves where they keep, to keep magical creatures safe.
Yeah.
And to keep humanity safe for magical creatures, But
vice versa. It kind of is, if supernatural and mortal starts interfering, it's pretty much going to be a two-sided destruction, kind of.
Yeah. And a breach, but an interesting thing to me is that, like, a breach of that world would be into our world, because I think that would be apocalyptic to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people would be able to reckon with. No, I don't think people could reckon with that, and I think it would be, it would be apocalyptic.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, for that kind of thing to be revealed.
Yeah, it would. A lot of people wouldn't be able to handle the truth that there is war between heaven and earth, especially nowadays where everyone is so enlightened above the opium of the masses.
Right. Well, I think it's going to be a similar. I don't know. Maybe not.
Well,
it seems like that would be. Well, no. Let me say. I think it would be similar when UFOs. If we find out that UFOs, once it actually becomes revealed that there's UFOs.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it makes me wonder if it would be that same thing, but at the same time, like, we've all been primed through one way or another, through media, through movies, through books, through comic books, about alien invasion. And I think there's been so much, like, buzz in the zeitgeist about aliens and about, just about aliens in general, that I think that the actual revelation, when it happens, would not be as catastrophic of a revelation as magical creatures would be.
Well, I think it kind of depends on the people themselves, right? Because there are two kinds. There are those who have the open mind to be able to handle it, but there are also those who, even when staring at the truth, will deny it immediately. That's just human nature.
That's true. That's true.
It depends on what is revealed. Like, if something like this golem, if Hugo was what was revealed, most people will be like, oh, that's nice. How cute, how quaint. Look, it yeets kids across a pond.
Yeah. Well, I think there would be a lot of people terrified too. Keep going.
Definitely. Some people will be terrified, but here's the thing that would definitely terrify people, and this would be the part where most people would go into outright denial. If a freaking massive-ass demon came flying along, unless it came right on top of their heads, so many people would just go into this blind denial when they realize just how powerless they are.
Right.
That's
Yeah. No,
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I totally agree. And well, the thing is like the existence of a creature like Hugo might necessarily imply the existence of like demons or something like that.
Yeah, because especially with the Hugo himself, his nature being,
Right.
it's magically artificial. Something
Right.
created him. How did he? Nothing is created from nothing.
However, I don't know. I guess I don't know if. I guess I don't really know if the existence of magical creatures, like, does the existence of a fairy necessarily imply the existence of a demon?
Not a
And
demon, but it would imply that there is a lot we can't see, because there's
there,
more.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would hint.
If the fairy is real, what else is real?
Right, it would hint at a greater truth.
Yeah. Would it
For sure.
only be within the Fae? Are those the things that are real? Is it other things that are like grander? You know?
Yeah.
The Fomor?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and most people don't even understand that kind of thing. So, if you think about it, that's hey, there's your Dresden's Files reference right there.
I didn't even have to say it. Kind of what I've been hinting at all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, and that's an interesting, and that's an interesting thing in a lot of books too. Is the what do they call it in Masquerade?
The Masquerade.
It's in the Vampire the Masquerade. They call it the I can't remember what they call it.
What are you referring to?
Like the big play that they use to hide away from humanity.
Masquerade?
Is that no, I thought they had another word for it.
Oh, the thing that created the Masquerade was the Convention of Thorns. That's when they all agreed to it.
No, that's
because there's recently it's called the Masquerade is because of their, and then if they are if they are openly supernatural, openly vampiric, that's considered a masquerade breach, and depending on how severe it is, you might get axed.
Right. No, they used to have in the first edition, they used to have a certain word for it, like a specific word. It wasn't just the Masquerade; it was something else. So I can't remember what it is, but that's not important. It's basically the kayfabe.
Yeah.
Right, like that mask between the reality and the reality that we know it, and then the reality as it is.
Yeah. You also have many different layers of realities too, depending on how far you want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You also have
not gonna get too.
Yeah, you also
don't want to get too solipsistic about it though.
You do have kind of like in Dresden Files. It is that. What was it again? You know the whole thing that Mab has, the Unseelie Accords?
Mm-hmm.
That is basically Mab, the Unseelie Queen. Her fairy court is one of the largest powers in the world actively.
Yeah.
So she has enough power to just make this accord and browbeat or convince equal powers to just join her in that. And if you break those accords, basically just common courtesy between beings prone to killing each other. If you break those, then Mab herself will get really angry at you.
Yeah.
And you don't want that.
There's not as much fairies killing each other in Fablehaven. Because I think I had said all the fairies, they saved the imps at the end of the book. Like, they would capture them and kiss them and turn them back into a fairy.
Oh, how adorable.
Yeah. But then the fairies remade Hugo, too. So that's... they spend a bit of time talking about the fairies, because they're an interesting part of the world where they have like I said, there's fairy collectors, but there's rare fairies that do rare things, or that do certain things, and they're hiding out in the wild. That's the other interesting thing about a lot of fairies is they're out in the wild. They're like out around people, but they only look like butterflies to most people.
Yeah, butterflies to most people, and imps, sort of like the more scarier creatures of the woods.
Imps look like tarantulas to people without, the people who can't see fake creatures. Imps look like tarantulas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when Seth finds, that's when you first learn about imps, is because Seth captures a fairy and keeps it inside overnight. And when the fairies are kept indoors overnight, they turn into imps. And so when he woke up the next morning to get to check on his fairy, he saw a tarantula in the jar. And he thought, like, oh, well, this fairy might be a weird one. It looks like a tarantula. And then he has his morning milk. And he comes back and sees that it's the imp. And he lets it out and it runs away.
Yeah, because imps can't fly, right?
No, yep, they don't have wings.
But what is the physical difference between... I'm sorry we're turning away from sort of like...
No.
From Hugo himself, but what is the physical appearance of a imp?
So they're like, fairies are like cute, little, small, cute creatures, right? Like, I mean, you would know what a fairy...
Yeah.
Kind of like the Tinkerbell stereotypical kind of thing. And the imps are like an ugly, twisted version of that. Kind of like because they're like an anti-fairy.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd think of a fairy that's like, instead of having white skin, it would have dark skin.
So kind of like
they're like
yeah,
like a dark purple skin and
yeah,
fuzzy.
They're made sort of like the orcs to elves from Tolkien.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Just less metal pieces stitched to their faces.
Yeah. Yeah, less facial jewelry.
Yes.
Yeah. But the imps play, the imps they do a lot because the imps are the agents of darkness, right? And so the imps spy for Muriel. She's constantly getting information from Muriel. The fairies aren't all bound by the treaty in the same way, so some of the fairies can come and go, so the imps can sometimes come and go.
Mm-hmm.
And then the imps will also carry messages from people from the outside to in.
Okay.
So, like, meet people at the gate or something like that, and then take the messages in to people. So, yeah, imps are bad guys. They're not good guys.
They can be, and they can also be very malicious. Like fairies can transform people, right? Or
yeah, the
do
fairies.
Like curse. Can imps do the same, or are they less powerful?
I would, it doesn't say much about them doing that. I would imagine they could, but I don't think they do. I would bet they couldn't actually, because the fairies get a lot of the power from the fairy queen, and the imps don't have that same connection. So I would bet they don't.
What turns them into imps is losing that connection to the fairy queen, right?
To the light, yeah. So it's they have it's an interesting universe, and there's all sorts of like wikis and stuff about it. Like he's written compendiums to it.
Nice.
That further expand the universe, which I think are cool. I really like that.
I like when writers do that. If they write compendiums that explain things but still give room for speculation.
Mm-hmm. Like a little tangent. That was one of the cool things about Star Trek back in the day, is that Star Trek had tons of, like, at least when I was growing up, there were tons of like Star Trek books explaining everything, and I had a bunch of friends that were super into like not the Starship Enterprise, but like all these different star ships in the Starfleet universe.
Yeah, like
I
had similar obsessions in Star Wars. Like you had this. Every movie had this encyclopedia of everything, and My favorite one was the one about Revenge of the Sith, especially when we went over the Separatist war
Oh
machines.
yeah.
The Invisible Hand and the Munificent frigates, they are my
Mm-hmm.
favorites.
Yeah, they it's cool when they expand the universe.
Yes,
You
in a
know,
good way.
I think it's neat. Um, and not like in a, because I think that kind of stuff is not like, I don't know. I don't feel it's cheesy necessarily. Like it's not um, it might be a bit of a cash grab, whatnot, but I think it's cool.
It
I
might
think
be
it's
a
fine, and it's providing good content for the people.
yeah. The thing is,
You know,
not all cash grabs are bad because you kind of need to
yeah,
get paid for work
yeah,
too. And if it's work
yep,
that is just things you enjoy doing, if what makes I think the difference between what is a cash grab and what is just more content is the passion in it. At least to me.
yeah. Well, and it's not just like pumping out sequel after sequel after sequel. You know, like endless sequel after sequel after sequel.
Yeah.
The like in movies, you know what I mean? Like they take a movie that is a complete story on its own, and then just make sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. You know,
Make
like
a movie, make a spin-off, make
mhm.
another spin-off,
Yeah,
then kill the
yeah,
soul of that thing.
yeah, yeah. So so anyhow, um, I say as this book has 5 books in the series, but
I mean, it does again.
but it's good,
Yeah,
and each one, you know,
it's a full saga, right? I mean, Dresden Files has
yeah,
17 books and it's not even done yet.
yeah, dude, we're waiting for the new one to come out.
God,
We've been
hurry up, Jim.
It
Sorry,
was supposed to be out in October,
I know.
but
Don't remind me.
yeah, it's whatever. It'll get out when it's out. There's plenty of other things to read in the interim.
It is.
But yeah, so the stories wrap up nice though, and each one of these books kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. So especially later in the series.
Yeah, Bill. It kind of books keep doing that as they near their ending phase, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, and they did that with like a lot of young adult fiction does that, and especially young adult fiction that is gonna have sequels and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it's not bad. It's a good ending because it keeps you engaged for the next one, keeps you ready, or gets you ready for the next one. You're like, I want to watch, like, I want to see what's happening next.
Yep.
You know, but then also like because you're so invested in the characters, like his characters are really good.
Makes you really
And
want
so
to stay tuned.
yeah, so you want to know what happens next. So, and Hugo's one of them.
You know, again, it's the same with the Mendigo. I kind of liked him
Mhm.
from what we talked about, and it's just,
Yeah,
especially when you have these characters who aren't true characters in their own right, but they start developing these quirks, personalities, and make you think like, there is more there, and
right,
then you become invested in their journey.
right. Well, it makes me think, like, is that the same kind of is it the same kind of feeling you have for your pet? You
In a
know,
way, yeah.
like it happens a lot where people will take something and well, and take an animal, especially any animal, and then be like, "Oh, you're my friend."
Yep. Hey,
You're like, "Oh,
I honestly think that pets are part of your family, so you know.
oh yeah, no, but I mean, but like just for any animal, like I was watching a video today of some woman had a kingfisher,
Yeah.
which is a bird with yeah, you know what a bird, went into her house and got all freaked out, and like she caught it and it was like paralyzed
Oh.
because it was in shock, right? And so she was all nice to it, and she was nice to it, very gentle. And was like, don't worry, you know. And she took it outside and waited, and it flew off. But in the interim, she's like, "Oh, you're my friend," and it makes me think, like, guess anybody. If you're holding a bird, and you're like, "Oh, you're so cute,"
Yep.
and it's just sitting there being nice, and you're like, "Oh, you're so cute, you're my friend." And it's like, no, he's not. He doesn't give a fuck about you. But
yeah,
it's a really
they're not smart enough to care either.
right. But it's a really human thing to do that, to imply or attribute the caring motive onto creatures that are incapable of having it.
Yeah, especially of course those who show anything that could be construed as human.
Right.
I mean, just look
Yeah.
at
Oh well.
just look at the NPCs from different games, dude. There are some NPCs like you played Skyrim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know Lydia, she was just when first you met her, she was kind of basic, right?
Oh, Lydia kicked ass. Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
But
But
yeah.
there were many people like, oh, she's just the NPC, and then it just went around. And suddenly, when you go to ask to, dump stuff in her inventory, she just says in a just kind of exasperated tone, like, "I'm sworn to carry your burdens." And at that point, a lot of people immediately like her because that is a very, very human thing to do.
Yeah. I know. You're right. Where she acts kind of like, ugh. God.
Not
But
this
yeah.
shit again.
She was the best companion. I love
Yeah.
Lydia.
Best wife.
But yeah. Well, it's kind of like Baldur's Gate 3. I just played through that.
Yeah.
And you start developing an attachment to some of those characters. Like I really liked one. I wanted to help Shadowheart.
Yep.
I wanted to help fucking Arlac.
Yeah.
Like I did not give a shit about Will.
Oh. Well, a lot of people actually care a lot about Will, because
I know a lot of people do. Or who's the other one? Gale. Did not give a shit about Gale.
And then you have Asterion too.
Yeah, and I wanted to finish his storyline, but mostly I kept him around for the DPS. Asterion was good DPS for me.
And also, he has a lot of good sass from what I've seen.
Yeah.
There is a difference between a nice summer's day and the full concentrated power of the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a funny, he's a good character.
Yeah.
Like the voice acting in that game is really good.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of clips with Asterion's voice lines, and there's this one where he does this chuckle after you force him to do something he doesn't want, and it's just chuckling like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
I kind of like characters like that. They are passive aggressive. They are clearly not good people, but they're still
well,
bad guy adjacent, but they're on your side. They don't care about the side of good. They care about you specifically.
Oh well, he's a funny character because he's there for anytime you do something evil, he's there for it. Like everybody else hates it when you do evil and mean shit. And Asterion is like, yeah, do it again.
Yeah. I mean, dude's a fucking vampire. Has been through shit from what I could see.
Yeah. But anyhow, back to Fablehaven. I totally
Yet another tangent on Trim's art shack. Who's surprised?
Yeah, they so one of the things I guess we'll talk about since excuse me.
Are you tired?
Hugo's, yeah. One of Hugo's jobs, right? Then one of Hugo's jobs is to milk the cow.
Right.
But other preserves don't, because all the preserves have an animal, but not all of them have a cow. One of them has a giant walrus.
A walrus?
Yes, and they get the milk from the walrus.
They milk a walrus?
Yeah. They milk a walrus to get their milk.
Walruses are not chill animals.
No. Which is really, it's really interesting. That I mean, that's a funny thing to think about, right? I thought that was a really funny tidbit in the lore.
In walrus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Those things are
Oh,
scary.
it's so yeah. I've never seen one up. No, I think I've seen one at like an aquarium, like far away. But you probably have a lot more experience with them than I do.
There was a walrus that decided to hang around in a Norwegian
Oh,
harbor and be a menace.
that's you probably got like an ancestral fear of walruses.
Somewhat chill. It's just that they have a better mustache than me.
Oh, that's what it is.
Uh,
It's not fear. It's envy.
yeah, and of course he's also larger than me. So, it's like,
Oh
I gotta defer to the natural order.
Oh, yeah. But so so one of the things Kendra has to do after she gets the so after Hugo gets destroyed, we're jumping all over the place in this story. So after Hugo gets destroyed and Kendra escapes, and gets to the Fairy Queen shrine, then Mendigo chases her to the Fairy Queen shrine, and then he gets taken apart.
He falls apart a bit on
And
himself. Poor thing.
so one of the things Kendra has to do is she has to mix blood with milk. She needs the milk from Viola, and she needs to mix it with blood and the tears. So the Fairy Queen cried tears into the bowl.
Oh,
And that was what she needed to mix. Was blood, and so she didn't know if it was her blood. And so the way she ended up getting, and at this point, by this time, like nobody had milked a cow in a few days, and so she was starting to get like, she was in pain.
yeah.
Because she hadn't been milked for a long time. But Kendra needed to milk her, and so the way she did it was kind of the way Hugo does it. But she got a ladder and then jumped up and squeezed onto the udder to splash a bunch of milk out into the pan. And then she took that milk, and then she took a rake and pierced Viola's udder to get a little bit of her blood, and then she cut her finger and got a little bit of her blood and mixed it all together. And then that's when the fairies drank that. They became full size and turned into like the warriors of light.
Yeah.
And excuse me.
That's right. You want a new pair of lungs? I can see if I can hook it up with you.
Yeah, give me a second here. Okay, there we go. And
if you need a minute, we can take a little break.
No, I'm good. So that was the then that's the climax of the book when the fairies come out and destroy everything.
Yeah.
But it put it just highlighted how important Hugo is to the farm, because he has to milk this giant cow.
Yeah, it is possible for everyone else, but he makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, he does it. Yeah, he takes that burden off of. Well, it would be, it'd be almost nearly impossible for people to do it on a regular basis without hurting themselves, or without wasting a bunch of milk too. And so
this little
milk
Hodor had the trick.
Yeah. So he's like a crucial part of the farm, and he becomes a really like an important weapon in the fight against evil.
Yeah.
And he's an important guardian in the book, and he's that secure figure in the book. You're like, okay, well, Hugo's gonna fuck him up. He'll fix it. Yeah. He's gonna go in there and fuck it up. And then when he gets destroyed, he's the tank. You're right. And so then when he gets destroyed, it becomes such it's like an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
When he gets destroyed.
I mean, he could probably take out Muriel Taggart if.
Yeah, if he would have got his hands on her, he could have just killed her.
Yep.
But he couldn't.
Yeah, then she just basically did a no you and Uno card with a demon's magic. That gotta be a power trip for her.
Yeah. She Uno reversed him.
Yes. No, you.
Oh. And so yeah, it's it's uh it's Hugo.
Yeah. Did he?
And
But
like I said later, so he doesn't really do anything like too much personality wise in the first book, but in the next book it starts coming out that he's been transformed into a true golem, so he does have a little more sentience.
this
Um
rudimentary form, it's a bit more
yeah,
than
it's
just
more
a operating system.
well, it's more that I guess it's actually that he has sentience. Because when he's just a golem, he doesn't have sentience. But when he's becomes a true golem, then he's like self-aware,
Oh.
right? And they started to one of the ways they tested that was they started letting him pick things that he wanted to do. Um, because before, Hugo just did what you told him to do. He wasn't like he didn't care, right? He didn't have any preferences, per se, you know.
Hmm.
But afterwards, he started displaying actual preferences for stuff, and that's how they knew that um, he'd been turned into a true golem instead of just being a manufactured golem, which I think by true golem is more meant like earth elemental, but they just refer to him as a true golem. So he starts, like I said, developing. So he talks, he laughs,
Well, he
at some
actually can
jokes.
talk.
Yeah, he talks a little bit. He laughs, and it develops slowly over the course of the books. But yeah, he says basic things. You think he says Seth for the most part.
Mm. So he's kind of like the Iron Giant, but made out of dirt and rocks.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
that's my favorite Vin Diesel character ever.
It is. It's his best character.
Yeah. Seriously, that's a
Not, not.
don't sleep on that movie, guys. The Iron Giant,
Oh,
it is a fantastic piece of cinematic work.
oh, yeah. That movie slaps, dude.
Oh yeah.
That's a great movie.
And another proof that the animation industry should have embraced 3D and 2D together instead of going full 3D like a bunch of rejects.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
tangent.
it was the hip new thing, and it's what they. Yeah, it was the hip cool thing.
Yeah, it didn't make things better, sadly.
Yeah. You know, it's going to be interesting.
Hmm?
These books all happened before cell phones,
Really?
right? Like they don't talk about cell phones in these books. Yeah, because because it wasn't until probably the early, well, I would say it probably wasn't until the late 2010s that kids started carrying. It was normal for kids to carry cell phones,
Yeah, well, I had
you
a
know?
Nokia. I had a Nokia when I was in
And
like first grade.
yeah, but what year was that? Well, I guess that was a while ago. But
1997, I think.
yeah, okay. Oh, no, yeah. Okay, how about
No, wait, no.
uh,
I'm high off my rocker. It was not that early. I got one in third or fourth grade, so just
okay,
2 or 3 years later.
okay. So yeah, just a little simple phone.
Yep.
But like not everybody had a cell phone for a really long time. I mean, it wasn't a long time until everybody cut the cord,
Yep.
right? Like I don't know hardly anybody that has a landline. Like I can't think of a single person off the top of my head that has a landline phone.
Nope.
Aside from that isn't a business, you know. But yeah,
True.
the kids aren't like walking around with cell phones in these books. It's before really. I'm gonna sue in these.
But actually, you had to go out and actually have fun, you know.
Yeah, and they were in they were in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere. Hey, I gotta look something up here.
That's right. I'm just doing a little bit of different kind of thingy here.
What? Oh wait, movie?
Movie?
Movie? Oh no.
There's a movie of this series?
An film adaptation of Fablehaven is scheduled for release in 2026
Ooh.
by Angel Studios.
Married?
Huh, interesting.
I don't know. What is Angel Studio known for?
I'm pretty sure Angel Studios are the ones who did. I mean, looking over their things. Sweetwater instead. They looks like they do a lot of kind of. It's like they do some kind of religious stuff,
Oh, okay. I mean,
some Christian stuff, but all
okay, so
sorts of stuff.
there's
Oh,
more
they did
hope
this.
for them
Oh,
than any other then.
it's because they did the Sound of Freedom.
Oh.
They did Angel Studios ones who released Sound of Freedom.
Okay, then you know what?
Yeah,
I'm suddenly a lot more optimistic.
yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm surprised. I was
See-
because I was wondering. That's one of the things that always makes me, and that's what made me think about the cell phone thing, was because there's not cell phones in the books.
Nope.
And that's always something that, like, when you go back and watch movies from the 90s and shit,
Yeah.
you just the most glaring thing about it is like, oh man, this problem would never have happened if those guys had a cell phone.
Yes.
Right? It's like that never would have happened if they had a cell phone. They could have just called them or texted them right away and said, hey, I need you to do this. It wouldn't become like so much of the movies that I grew up with as a kid would have been like the whole plot would have been completely destroyed by one human being with a cell phone. all of the fucking tension taken out of that entire scene because, like, oh shit, well, I'll just call Jim and have him turn the valves right now.
Yes.
We'll call down there and tell them to turn the valves off so that they don't let the poison water into the water system.
Or the
They don't
threat.
need to.
The
Yeah,
threat
we
of the
don't need to
thing
rush.
would have been different too if everybody had a phone.
Yeah, for real.
Or rather, the threat of the thing could be exacerbated if they had a fucking phone. You could work on both. You could work both angles with that.
Yeah.
Imagine the thing armed with meme warfare. You could stop that. You could win over that.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm kind of interested for this movie now.
Same. Oh,
Like,
the Sound of Freedom guys did a lot of good work.
yeah, I think so.
Let's see. I really love the movie, at least. So.
I have not seen it.
There we go.
I approve of its message, and I am glad that it's there. I have not seen it.
Nah, me neither. What do you think so far?
I think it looks dope, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. Should I do more dark? I don't think so.
No, actually, you know what? Go back to that and turn that opacity down a bit on that lot, a bit more.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I increase the light opacity, let's see. Like this, maybe? Or what do you think? More? Less?
Yeah. Maybe, actually, I think a little brighter on that.
A little brighter.
A little bit lighter on that.
Let's go for 50
Right there.
then. Or maybe 50.
Yeah, I think I like that because then you can see just a little bit of white in the middle of his eyes there.
What do you think about 50 or 55?
I think 55.
Yeah,
Keep it at 55. I think that looks good.
So do a little extra highlights here, just,
Yeah.
Rags so that the sun would logically hit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes. So Hugo ends up developing a pseudo personality or outright personality. Then
Yeah, yeah.
nothing pseudo about
Like
it.
it took me a while. It took me a second to put a point on it. That's what it is. Studio. He gained sentience.
Yeah.
He became self-aware. That's really what it is, and that was the difference. Is Mendigo was never self-aware.
Yes.
Um,
Mendigo was the
and so
pseudo personality, essentially.
yeah, right. And so if something's not self-aware when it does a selfless action, it doesn't mean as much.
No.
It's still meaningful, but it is detracted by the fact that it's not self-aware enough to save. It wouldn't. It's not necessarily sacrificing itself against its own better judgment.
Yeah.
You know.
Because the
So
sacrifice is that you do it by your own free will. If not,
yeah.
you're
Well,
just
that's
being
that.
sacrificed.
Yeah, you're just being sacrificed. That's right. And yeah, it's not as noble of a gesture. You know. So when Mendigo met his end at the dragon, when the dragon dissolved him, it was tragic, but not. It would have been more tragic if it was Hugo, or it would have been more of a would have felt more emotional as a sacrifice if it was Hugo as well,
Yeah.
because
He actually had something to lose.
right, yeah, exactly. He had a self to lose,
Yes.
so making that a selfless action.
Yeah. Let's see. There we go. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I like him, dude.
Sweet.
I like him. You gonna slap a background on there, or you gonna?
That's the plan. I'm gonna
Yep.
do it the good old-fashioned way, like last time. So it's like a bloop. There you go. Uh,
And that's it. We're done. No.
hey! Fuck! I just realized something. God damn it.
Noise Control Z. There you go.
Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So, well, time for the big gay. Great. All right. So, do here is. Oh. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Damn it. Like that. Then I do select. And this is just because I'm autistic. There you go. That's the one I screwed up in, and I'll also do that. There you go. If not, that would have bothered me all day.
Yeah.
There you go. Reference, because that's gonna ruin shit. And then we do the black. There we go. All right. So
This is fascinating to watch.
yeah, trying to figure out.
I say that every time.
You do, but
It's super interesting to watch.
I like hearing it. Thank you.
Oh, Trim, you're so cool.
Please don't like that. Please don't. Not like that. Not like this. Not like this. Oh boy. Let's see.
Yeah.
I need to figure out where to go with this. Like barn, farm.
You could do like the barn in the background, or you could do. I mean, shit. You could even do trees. You did spend a fair amount of time in the woods with Seth.
You did. Kind of trying to see if I could do a barn wall here decently, halfway at least.
One second here. So if we're doing color, you could do it red, but
Yeah, but I'm liking the black and white. If I'm gonna do color, it's just it's to highlight the small things. You know, like we did with the stamp. You know.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Or you did some red on the Hellraiser one when we did that one.
Yeah.
Man, that was a long time ago. Holy cow.
That was the first one you and me did.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the first one we
I
did.
think, yeah. Wow.
Interdimensional Coomers. I think
I
that's actually the thing I did on Red too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you did in
Red.
red. Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a barn wall.
Yeah, so
It tried to be inside of a barn, basically. That's what I'm trying to do.
I'll have to come up with a better, more coherent. Well, any character we cover after this will have a lot more story to them.
Yeah.
So,
but it's nice to have these short ones too. So.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good thing. Trying to get something like straws and things on the ground.
Oh yeah, there you go. Get your hay in the background and stuff.
Too much. And this is a massive cow. Is a massive haystack.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Here.
It's Hugo with his bucket of milk in the barn.
Yep. He's a good old barn boy. Yeehaw. He never.
And a two-story tall cow.
Yeah.
A two-story tall cow would have to eat a lot of fucking food.
Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen like a regular.
Yep.
I've seen like a regular car-sized cow, and those. Oh boy.
Yeah, they eat a lot of food.
Yeah. Of course, when I say car-sized, I mean like a average Prius.
Yeah. Takes a lot of hay to make those. Those burgers.
Yep. Future burgers and milk. Milk or milch cow, yeah.
Milch. Yeah.
Cow, yeah. I will not apologize to my German viewers if I have any. You know what you did. What? I'm referring to I'm referring to Weisswurst. I don't like it. It's a consistency. That's what kind of screws me over on that every time.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, is this good enough, or is there anything I should do otherwise?
Oh no. No. I think it. I think it looks good. I like the way it looks now because it's like it almost looks like he's casting a shadow a bit.
That's kind of what I'm going after. I'm just hoping it doesn't blend in too much, because there's one thing about my tablet is that it is darker on my screen than it is on what you guys are seeing.
Right.
Thank you, iPad. Of course, this old baby is getting old, and she's still holding strong. So a little bit of the shade, a little bit of dark and light difference is a minor complaint at best.
Yeah.
So yeah, right now I'm kind of tempted trying to make it brighter, but I don't know. Maybe screw around a little bit and see what happens. So.
No.
No, definitely not.
It looks good.
Yeah, we're doing that.
So in the second book, Hugo gets his arm eaten off.
Eaten off?
Yeah, he gets his arm bit off by a giant frog demon.
Oh.
And so it grows back. His arm grows back, over the course of a few weeks. But yeah, that was an interesting thing about Hugo. And so I think that will be a good subject to talk about the next one.
Yeah, a frog demon.
Yeah. Olak the Glutton.
Okay,
is his name.
I'm in. He sounds like a spirit
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, then I guess we got it. Like,
Yeah. Hugo the Golem.
yeah.
There we go.
And yeah, the background is kind of, I could have done better on that, but the unfortunate part is I don't know what to do with it. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking the hay should, once you know it's hay, of course, that's when it goes
Yeah.
through.
No, I think that looks good.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Of course, it's better if I do
Oh,
just full on black or white. So it's a good midpoint. Of course, any feedback on this from anyone in chat, anyone in the comment section is more than welcome. So
yeah.
feel free. Well, of course, now we're at the end point. We are now at the shilling part. Dave, do your thing.
So yeah, follow me on you can follow me on Twitter, just some jerk at Reverend Dave, REVARANDDAVE. Follow me on YouTube here. You can go check out my stuff. I have hours of back content that I have not. I haven't uploaded anything lately, but I have hours of content on my channel. And catch me on Saturday with Trim when he's off the boat for Sultans on Saturdays. What is that, 5 GMT, something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. It's yeah. I 5 GMT. It's 3 o'clock Norwegian time, 2 o'clock Britbong time. There we go.
Okay, so 2 o'clock GMT.
Yes, pretty much.
Because it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, yep. And that's me.
Thank you. And I would also like to extend a thank you to Robert Renato, who is letting us use his music for these episodes. Again, thank you very much, dude. And also a thank you to Besic for taking the time from my cellar to edit my videos. I'm treating him well, I promise. Not all kidnappings I do are malicious. Right, Dave?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything.
No, you're not. Shit, I was supposed to say it out loud. My secret's out, oh no. Well, and for another shill, myself, of course, because my channel, so deal with it. If you like what you saw, then I plan to upload all the Simply Sketchy drawings and add them to my shop sometime early next year. So you'll be able to carry those on you if you feel like it. T-shirts, coffee mugs, that kind of stuff. If you like what I do, you are also free to hire my services to draw a commission for you. I do black and white, and I can also do colors if you feel like it. You have my Ko-Fi down below. You can also reach me on Twitter, and if you have me on Discord, just feel free to reach out. I do pretty much anything, though if you want to do furries, that's going to cost extra. I'm
Because he
nerding.
has a hard time parting with the drawings he makes afterwards. That's why he just doesn't want to let him go after he does them. You have to pay him extra to give them to you after he's done drawing them.
No, that's not a bad idea, actually. I was about to slap back at you with something, you know? Yes. I made a commission, now I hold it hostage. Well, you blame Dave for that one, guys. And of course, a big thank you to everyone watching this episode. Thank you very much from joining until the end. And if you feel like giving a like, a comment, and a subscribe, then I'd appreciate it. If not, then have a wonderful day regardless. Again, Dave, thank you very much for joining, and I'm looking forward to next time.
All right, Shadowlay.
Bye-bye.